Gaijin copies wargaming with the latest Squadron vehicle, the so-called Object 122 TM. Good evening, I am Old Dead Man, your host. We're looking at War Thunder's website, and this is from quite a ways back, actually, 9 days, I think, since this particular devblog was released. And, we got to take a look at this one because there's a little hinky things going on here. Let's start off with the big things here. The Object 122 TM is a Chinese prototype tank that was designed in the late 60s, early 70s. I'll go into more details there. It was never given the name Object in any source that I've been able to find other than Gaijin, so that's a Gaijinism. And it was never accepted into service, so it was never given the WZ appellation that is so common for these. So that means that basically it was called a 122. That said, I cannot take any credit for the research on all of this stuff. I have poked around, I've had to find it in multiple places, but in the end, others have done the heavy lifting on this one. So let's take a look at what it is, what it isn't, and then talk about how it looks like for you in War Thunder. The Object 122 TM was a prototype vehicle designed and built by the Chinese military beginning in 1967. The design was ordered when China's leadership realized their existing Type 59 was woefully out of date compared to the tanks the Russians were fielding against them, notably during the Xinbao Island incident. During this incident, a Soviet T-62 tank was disabled, and an extensive skirmish was carried out by both sides to either capture or prevent the capture of the technical secrets it represented. After 15 days of fighting and going back and forth, the Soviets withdrew, leaving the disabled T-62 behind for easy Chinese recovery. Taking this as an example of modern tank technology, the Baotou plant 617 produced the first prototype, dubbed 122, with hydropneumatic suspension, hydraulic transmission, and hydro-assisted controls, or 3-hydro, sometimes abbreviated TH, plus ATGM launchers and a 120mm cannon. This was really too complicated for the Chinese industry of the time to produce en masse. A simplified second version was produced with torsion bar suspension, mechanical controls, and a mechanical transmission, then dubbed 122-1 or 3 mechanical TM. They installed the 120mm cannon and sent it out on a 3,000-kilometer test drive. This test drive revealed significant issues that made it impractical for production. A third version was produced by a different factory, the 704 factory, who produced a version with an autoloader and the ATGMs installed known as 122-2, which also was not accepted due to reliability issues. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, give me the old thumbs up on it. Moving on to the technical specs here. The 122 TM was 9.5 meters long, 3.3 meters wide, 2.25 meters tall, and weighed in at 37.5 tons. The 690 horsepower multi-fueled engine could drive it up to a top speed of 55 kilometers per hour. Armaments included a 120mm smoothbore gun, one 12.7mm top-mounted machine gun, and one 7.62mm coaxial machine gun. According to sources I was able to glean, the ATGMs were installed on the original 122TH, the hydropneumatic one, and the following 122-2, which was built by a different plant, but not on the 122TM or 122-1, with the other models being the ones that got those 4-mounted ATGM launchers. By the way, it was crewed by 4 men. In War Thunder, the Object 122 TM will be joining the Chinese Rank 6 tree as a squadron vehicle, complete with the smoothbore 120mm gun, good mobility, and these 4 Mythical ATGM launchers. So let's talk about this one. According to my research, the version that would have had the ATGM launchers and the mechanical components would have also had a mechanical autoloader that should be installed if this is the right one. That would also require a slightly different turret shape. The version that we have in game, though, at least from what I'm seeing, looks like it should not have an autoloader, but it also should not have the ATGMs. I'm going to just kind of leave that whole thing alone, just accept at this point in time that it is a mishmash between the two versions of the vehicle and is not absolutely representative of either one. This appears to have come primarily from Wargaming and World of Tanks. Now, I'm certain they have sources. I was able to find some. A bunch of other people have found some. But it does appear that they have managed to cobble together a non-existent or mythical creature based on these components. So what do you think of it? I'm personally not impressed. I would rather they figured out what they were actually adding. At least according to my research, it seems like they've got the wrong one here. This also is kind of indicative of the trend that we're seeing lately of prototype vehicles ending up in more tech tree positions. But at least they're built prototypes, with the exception of this one being a slightly mythical combination. What do you think of that? Do you think that's the way Gaijin should be going? It seems like they're running out of good things to add that are actually built machines. And so we might be seeing even more issues with that going forward. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you'll be going for this Squadron vehicle as well. You have a great rest of your day. And hey, we're going to see you in War Thunder. Maybe even in a slightly mythical Chinese tank.